All right, we are live once again, streaming science and technology, as it says over there. Last time I was streaming, I wasn't sure uh, what category to use because there's no game development category specifically, and there might be a programming one, but I didn't find it right away. So, yeah, science and technology it is now. Should have put more tags, but whatever. Still a lot of things that I've totally forgotten from the last time I used Twitch because this is the second week of streaming my game development process of my upcoming game Entropy. Uh, 2D shooter so great it'll blow the socks off your feet. I don't know. It's my first real big game project. I've done like smaller stuff before with Lua and JavaScript, but this is like the first real game I could say that I'm doing. Also, last time I was doing this, there was my mic was adjusted like shit because the sensitivity was way high, and I'm also trying to keep my voice lower today in general. We're slowly about to start, but for those watching the VOD or joining as of now, then I will reiterate what I said last time. Entropy is a 2D shooter with a sci-fi theme. Very like throwback, like with a lot of gaming cliches that I love, that are directly taken from games like Doom, Dead Space, Half-Life, etc., etc. And I'm developing it using Game Maker Studio 2, which is specifically designed to be an easy tool that obfuscates a lot of the more complicated mechanics and simplifies things. But you still have to code things yourself, and you still have to code a lot. But it's definitely like baby's first game development tool compared to something like Unity or like Unreal Ed, which I'm definitely gonna check out once this is complete. Which probably won't be for a while. The tentative release date that I was thinking for this was March 18th, but I don't know. April is looking more likely now because the more that I think about it, I mean, I'm actually on schedule. I looked, and I'm ready to release another package tomorrow, or maybe no. I think after tonight, after this already. I can put a link both in the VOD description on YouTube and in here in the Twitch chat to my itch.io page where you can download it, and you can also find the link on my channel page. So yeah, I'm on schedule, but I have a more realistic estimate of how much work there is to be done as a whole. Like for February, I might be able to release like a demo that has half of the levels that I want to have, and that might be still missing some features and some graphics that are there just to add flavor, which I'm gonna do today also. Today we're gonna do some pixel art with Photoshop. I don't claim to be an expert at all. I've just started doing it, so any actual pixel artist over there watching this will most likely cringe and in general be unhappy with my work. I might commit some heinous faux pas whilst doing it, but still, I'm gonna give it my best shot, and we're gonna do some level design also, and we are gonna do some programming as well. But first of all, I want to show you what I did after the last stream ended. So I have here a macro that can quickly let me jump into any level when I boot the game, so I don't have to go through the whole game again just to show you a certain thing. So I'm gonna boot up the test level, which is not gonna be in the actual game. I'm gonna show you the AI of the dude that I made after last week's stream. We started making it last week, and since then I have drawn all the necessary sprites for the death animation and so on. And I completed the AI to make it do almost exactly. Just one small problem there, but that is not so relevant now. But it does almost exactly what I want to do. Sorry about that. eating a clementine, being a healthy boy. Oh yeah, and I should probably not do that while I stream, because I'm using desktop capture right now, which is not the neatest way because you can see the Windows toolbar over there, but it's the easiest. And I know I can probably do this, get this to full screen somehow. Actually, let's see, Game Maker full screen. Sorry about the keyboard clattering. I have a very loud keyboard. This is supposed to be just temporary after my last one was destroyed by a rabbit. But I've kept this for like 2 years. My last keyboard was very silent, you know, glow in the dark, all that cool shit, but this one is just a very simple, basic cheap keyboard that I just stuck around with. But I was playing a game called In Silence this last weekend, which is a sound-based game. Specifically, like, you can communicate with allies and the monster can hear you based on, like, the proximity of the character on the map. There's the monster is like behind you and you don't want to alert it, you definitely need to keep your fucking mouth shut. But since my keyboard is so loud, so just basic movements, things like when I decide to press C to crouch, it makes like a click sound and everyone can fucking hear it. Very annoying. I don't know, I'm not gonna bother with the full screen. Let's just run this thing to demonstrate exactly how it works. The build process is really slow even on my desktop. So you can only imagine the pain, the horror, and the awfulness that I have to endure while doing this on my laptop. Did I post a tweet about... Yes, I did. Okay, here's a test level with all the necessary things. Oh my god, that was loud. Let's do something about that real quick. Yeah, that should be a bit better. So this is my glorious test level. It has the basic things: a fuel canister, an exploding barrel, and a guard. The latest and the last remaining normal enemy that I have to implement in the game. The guard's default behavior is to spin right round, baby, right round over here in place like a chump, but it's actually supposed to give an illusion of intelligence because all the other enemies in this game are mostly mindless monsters. There's some mindful monsters also, but mostly mindless monsters. These guys are actually supposed to be like human. And human beings should act in somewhat of a rational manner. Of course it's a game. You have to suspend your disbelief, but I think it's not so impossible for you to believe that this guy has some basic intelligence. So when he spots you, he makes a sound, and his attack mode is actually shooting 3 things. Oh. Okay, yeah. He also throws grenades, which you probably shouldn't do while next to a wall. That's probably something I still need to implement. Anyway, let's try this again. The sound is still a placeholder. He's using the basic monster sounds that I have yet to replace. I didn't have time to do any recording today. But even like all the sounds in this game, like all the monster sounds that is, I'm not gonna start recording guns here, but all the monster sounds are actually made by me. With my own little mouth. What that mouth do? It records monster sounds. He has some basic... Yep. He throws grenades. He has a like a 0.5% chance of throwing a grenade if he's at a specific range. He shoots like 3 bullets at once instead of just 1. So that's to show you that he's much more aggressive. Yeah, he even had a little throwing animation there. Very cute, right? He's supposed to demonstrate much more aggressive behavior than the other ones, and he also takes a lot more punishment. Actually, I need to drink. I better go hide from this guy for a while. He still can't really navigate around obstacles properly. God, that sound is annoying. I should go away from him. Maybe he'll stop pursuing me if I'm at a distance away. all the enemies have a set time of when they eventually stop chasing you if I'm far enough away. But I think this map is so small that I actually can't get far enough. Which we're gonna remedy once we're actually gonna start building the next map. And the first map where these enemies are gonna actually appear. Also, sometimes his other eye is smaller than the other one. I just realized this only happens in the gameplay. Like the sprite itself, the eyes are the same size. It might be something glitchy with the background. Anyway, he can do that. He can also melee. But for whatever reason... Oh. Yeah, you can't really properly see it because the... Fuck. The sprite is so bugged. And yeah, those grenades will kill you. Like, if you stand directly in the blast zone, you will die. Grenades will kill you, actually. Oh, I forgot. Do his bullets break the barrels? Okay, they don't. That's something I forgot to implement. Although it might actually be a good thing. It might be really annoying in the gameplay if, like, monsters can detonate the barrels. Anyway, yeah, he has... Unlike most enemies that only have one, some have two modes of attack, but this person, this human being, this real-life guy, has three. The basic shooting. Bullets are a bit different now. They're not just using the standard green ones. And besides that, he also has the grenades and the melee. But the melee sprite, for some reason, toggles so fast in the actual gameplay, even though I set the image speed to be very slow, that you can't even really see it, and it kills you like instantly. I might have to do some kind of stunning mechanic for my character just to get around that. Let me quickly show you the actual sprite. SPR enemy 12 melee. Yeah, you can see that I can show you them all right now, because this is the basic one, rotating in place, nothing special there. Running, which is the same, but he has 4 frames of animation for each direction. How impressive. What's even more lame is that actually it's only just 2 frames that I'm toggling. Actually, I could have just had this be 8 frames in total instead of 16. But while I was first creating it, I wasn't sure about that yet. Because the player character has the same thing with its legs. The difference is that the player character's arms actually move around, but because the player character has the weapon in the wrist, mounted in the wrist, as you could probably see, but this one is actually holding it, so I couldn't really have any arm waggle here. Or I could have, but I was a bit too lazy to draw that properly. You can also see the dead pixels there that I didn't see while creating it. That's my problem. And I'm terribly sorry about that. But overall, I like the way it looks. Then he has to throw. Wee, wee, wee. It's slow because I want to choreograph to the player like, hey, he's about to throw the grenade. Get the heck out of here. So it's like, okay, again, not the fanciest sprite, but it does the trick. Then here's the melee one that you cannot really see in the game properly. Again, 2 frames per second. I only set this so I can probably see it in action, but I think in the actual game I might have it like go 5? 5 I want to say? Yeah, that ain't so bad. You get the speed lines and everything. Yeah, why not? Oh, Games Done Quick is streaming right now. Interesting. What a bad time to do this, huh? Anyway, then, and here's the dying sprite, so you can see that real quick. Because it happens so fast in the game, so you probably cannot see it properly, but he's clutching his wound. Bleeding, actual blood. Holy shit, the carnage. This game is so violent. I can't even believe myself. And collapsing on his knees. Multi. Yeah. Pretty cool. And the last frame of that previous sprite is the corpse sprite that we're gonna have just stay in place once the enemy dies. Which is something that I really wanted, like from the get-go I wanted to have as a feature. Because I don't like... There are enemies also that like disintegrate, disappear. But generally, I like to have corpses littered around the level just to show your progress. It's the same idea as in Doom. Like, not only does it make it easy to see which areas you've already been in, but also it just gives you a more concrete sense of actually accomplishing something. Like, hey, you actually did something here by killing all these dudes. So the corpses don't disappear over time. There are most of the enemies also, just like in Doom, are already in place by the time you get there. So there's only 2 that will spawn in, and I haven't actually done the spawners yet. That might be next week's thing. But those, just to save memory, those will actually like disappear and they won't leave any corpses behind. Because if it was possible to have an infinite amount of sprites clogging up the level, it would like be a huge programming flaw here. All right. Oh yeah, and there's one more thing that I want to demonstrate that the guard can do, which is something that I was trying to program last week and I just couldn't figure out how to solve. Which is that if you launch a grenade with your cool grenade launcher here, is that loud? Just let me know if that's too loud and I'll adjust that. But if you launch a grenade at it, well, that didn't work. Let's try it again. It's pretty random sometimes. If you launch a grenade, okay, well that didn't count because they have to be in this chase state to actually work. Okay, well this worked. This worked when I was doing it on my own. Just have to take my word for it. Nah, I'm gonna make it work. But if you launch a grenade, it should start running away in a random direction, like, and in the finished game would also say something like "Grenade! Oh, watch out!" or something like that. But for some reason, it's not executing right now, and I have an idea of why. But I need to check that out first. But anyway, that's the AI, quote unquote, of the guard. Let's dive into the code real quick. I'm not going to do too much of this stream. But let's do that real quick to see why that is. Damn, should have just kept with the water. Eating something while streaming is just... it's pure pain. Always makes my voice clog up and sound bad. Worse than normal. Okay, so yep, if the guard is in chase mode and if a grenade exists at any point in the game and is about 100 pixels away in any direction, guard should go to the flee state, which is not in this script, but a different enemy uses the same basic code. Like if for that one, it comes if you get too close. So you should take a random direction, a completely random direction from different presets that I've defined, and then start going there. And in the guard's case, it actually, oh, I should be here. Yeah, here. In the guard's case, it will also do it a bit faster, just to show like, hey, he's actually trying to run, quote unquote, away. But I don't know, this looks right. Guard chase, and it should be in guard attack also, yeah, like even if they're in the attack state, this still should happen. Excuse me. The only thing I can think of is that I may have set this to be so I set this to be wrong. No, guard chase, guard attack. Yeah, they have all the right scripts defined. So I don't know why this happened. And to be honest, that's not really important right now. It's not anything fancy, so... And you can already see, those of you who have done Game Maker will probably be able to tell, like, hey, this should work. I mean, I might be wrong. in general this should work. Like this is the object of the grenade, like specifically your grenade. Like I have various objects that use the same sprite for the grenade. There's the player's grenade, launch grenade, and launch grenade alt, which is like if you unlock the more powerful variation, and then we have the enemy grenade, which is the one that the guard throws, but obviously that one shouldn't affect. You shouldn't run away from their own grenades. I mean, maybe they should, but that's a conversation for another day. And then there's also the same sprite used for the pickup, which is like if you find it on the map. But yeah, so it should be in the flee state for 1 second, because it's a 60 frames per second game. And every step it should increment this. Move to the direction that I have defined here. Let's see if this one is correct actually. X2 is somewhere between either -500 or 500, and Y2 is the same. These are referring to the coordinates on the map. And then it will change the state, which means it will stop executing this script and will execute this script instead. I don't have corona. I just literally, not only did I not talk almost the whole day today until before this, but I also didn't sleep very well, so that might actually make this stream less hectic than the other one, because there I was talking way more than what I normally do. Of course, that's also because I haven't been streaming for a long time. So yeah. Enemies. Oh yeah. This should, by the way, be like this. Not that it should affect it, because it doesn't even seem like... Well, let's do what we always do when we don't know what's happening and use the show debug message statement. Another thing that was failing to work last week was that the guard, for whatever reason, when they were in the flee state, they didn't take damage from the explosion. But that's just something I goofed while programming things earlier. That has been since fixed. No, the grenade pops up there, but the grenade message, you can see it in the console here. But it didn't do it. So state target means what state it should have after the flee state has finished. And these are like the things it should go to. As defined here. If ++ state weight equals... Maybe state weight has not been reset to 0. That's the only thing I can think of. Oh, yeah, that's probably it, because grenade also uses state weight, so... So maybe we can fix that by putting state weight to 0 before that happens. State weight equals 0. And then here also state weight equals 0. And then we run. And we hope that everything turns out for the best. It probably won't, but we can hope. No. It did not work out for the best. The guard is throwing grenades though, so at least that's working. Okay, so it wasn't that. So I should take that out, because otherwise it might cause some unforeseen problems. Oh yeah, it's reset here anyway, so that shouldn't be it. I mean, it is possible that it's just choosing to run to your direction every time, but very unlikely. Also, the speed should increase when that happens. And yeah, this is still red, so that means I didn't change the name of the variable. Otherwise, this obviously wouldn't work. So I'm confused. Could it be that it's this or statement that's causing it? Like, I mean, yes, maybe, but let's just try without it for a second. So I'll comment this. Wait a minute. How we run into the classical too many brackets problem. It's possible. In fact, it's downright probable. No. Well, yeah, no. It should be like that if we're using the or statement like that. Okay, let's try to comment this. Like so. We're not leaving it all together because obviously we'll need it later. And in the attack state, we'll do the same. This won't be the whole stream, so we will actually have other stuff ready, but I really want this thing to work. Boom. Hey, it's working. Nice. So now you see that once I launch the grenade, the guard will panic and try to run somewhere random. Doesn't always work because you might not have time to react. That's only realistic. Kind of. Again, realistic in huge quotes here. Also, I'm wondering if 100 is a bit too little. Like 150. 100 pixels is actually not a very large amount. Attack and guard chase. It might be that once the thing is 100 pixels away, the guard just doesn't have time to run away anymore. Yep. That helps. I mean, it didn't help it, but it was trying. And that's the thing we want to accomplish. We don't want it to be able to avoid it every time. We just want it to be able to try. And that's it. We'll do something about this commented section later. Not really important at this rate anyway. Only in the actual finished game. So the next thing I'm going to show you is the level that I showed glimpses of before, but is now finally complete. There was a really annoying bug that took me a whole week to figure out, but we did it. Oh, and yeah, there's actual music now in this level. Isn't that cool? We'll lower the volume a bit because we're not here for that. Actually, yeah, that should be also lowered from the here because I don't know, it is 0.36 as the others. Maybe it should be even lower then. It's a pretty cool piece of music though. It's from Kevin MacLeod. MacLeod? I don't know. But he has composed a lot of free to use music. Let's decrease the desktop audio and increase the mic audio so my voice will not be covered by this. And also decrease the volume for myself because that's so loud for some reason. Okay, that's better. Yep. So this is the famous factory level. Not sure why I said famous, but oh wait, let's listen to this a bit. Yeah, that sounds really good and kind of fits the atmosphere of this level. Lore wise, this is like supposed to be sort of processing facility for the space station, and it'll also have some malicious experiments going on here, which I will show you in more detail in a second. I'm gonna do some photoshopping also. Once that happens. Oh. Shouldn't have pressed that. This level is the first one that introduces these slime puddles that deal damage when you step on them. Oh. And the grenade launcher is actually technically supposed to be picked up from here. In this level first. Or if you're very lucky, you can find it in the last level also. Like the one that precedes this, I mean. I don't know how much this actually resembles a factory. Like, the thing with my hastily done pixel art is that I have to... You might have to use some imagination sometimes, whoops, to actually be able to tell what's going on. I'm gonna try to add like more stuff like assembly lines and shit to properly convey what's happening here later. And like I showed you last stream, this is also where I introduced some truly magnificent 1 billion IQ puzzles into the game. I mean, there are going to be puzzles already prior to this, but this is one of my favorite ones, even though it's very simple. That was very fun to implement. Oh yeah, the door makes a sound now. But hey, what to do? The only way to get through this door is to step on this button. Or use the ghost suit, but you shouldn't have it at this point in the game yet. So you either step on this button, but if you step off it, it'll close again. So how can I do something about it? Well, you go down here. Oh, they're all crowded in one spot. Kind of random, but that's good for me. And you pick up a box and you toss it on top of the button. And don't miss. Should probably make the button bigger, but whatever. This is something that I probably won't be so, even though it's a simple thing, but it probably won't be so obvious to everyone in the beginning. So I like to, whoa. Okay, good thing I added that checkpoint there. That's why I put it in a fairly early point in the level. Oh, damn. Those things really kill you quick. Oh yeah, I only have 66 health. Let's fix that. There. Okay, whatever. It's not mandatory to kill everybody, just like in Doom, so why would we bother? This is supposed to be like an assembly line, but that's really not... I mean, since it says factory when you enter the level, that's probably the only way you could probably tell. And even then, I'm not sure how obvious it is. Some of my graphics are more successful than the others. Like, the hospital level has people in lab coats, which viewers in the last stream were actually able to determine, like, hey, these are scientists or whatever. Also, something is up with my tile set, because this looks... They look way off. I'm gonna have to investigate that later. Here's another cool concept, which I showed last time. The allies will help you out and follow you around. But of course I still have to open the doors for them. Oh shit. The security drone will kill them immediately though. Oh, and apparently I will kill them immediately. Yeah, that's right. The explosions actually have a pretty wide radius. Oh well. Boom. Okay. So as I was saying, this stream we're gonna add some more lore hinting drops via graphics and environmental storytelling to show what's going on here and why these blue balls are helping you and why the purple ones are not. Also, this music is really good. I like the steel guitar. There's just good vibrations for the game development stream in general. Oh, I think the stream cut off there, but oh well. My internet is good enough in general, so it should work. Also, I like the fact that I don't have to do anything. Like, this is the best part of having this ally. It has a ton of health, and the shots kill most enemies in like very quickly, so I have nothing to worry about. Except these acid puddles. Fight. Oh, that being said, I still think this is an okay feature to have, that you still need to help your ally. Because 3 enemies at once attacking it will still crowd it pretty severely. Okay, almost there at the finish line. One more feature to show you. Well, a couple more. Oh. You shut the fuck up. Ah, new enemy, huh? And also, damn, I really wanted to have my ally face off against the enemy, but oh well. Ah, need the green key. So we have these in other locked doors and locked elevators in other levels also, but this one is like a locked barrier. I'm really lazy with creating new wall textures, so it's using that one from the 3rd level still. Oh, yes, made it. And here is the unfortunate civilian, shot for some unknown reason, not by monsters, but by human beings. Perhaps those cars that you saw earlier, who knows? Yeah, the music, might have to edit some of the silence out from the beginning and the end, because it takes a while to loop back in once it finishes. Oh, you're not supposed to do that yet. Yay, it opens. And the doors make sounds. That's a thing that I just implemented today. Free sound effect that I found from a website called soundj.com. Oh, wow. It took a grenade to the face. This thing is gonna be one of those kind of like mini bosses or sub bosses. Like you can see, it fires these green sludge-like projectiles, which not only do damage, but once they hit something, they become puddles of acid that stay for several seconds. I mean, yeah, eventually they'll fade away, but since there's no limit to how many there can be, it can be quite a challenge to overcome, to say the least. And the last feature that I want to show you is that nothing too major, but I put a neat little secret corridor in here where you can find a weapon upgrade. And there's also an invisible trigger here that once you activate it, hey, Roma, welcome to the stream. Happy to have you on board. Yeah, so when you trigger it, it will count to the overall secret amount they will have at the end of the level. And there's some cool jazz playing out in the intermission screens. I actually didn't have a chance to listen to this yet, but it sounds pretty good and it's suitable. It's just like another looping track that I found from a site that has some free to use content. It really fits in here. And then it will quit the game because level 6 is not there yet. And that's another thing I will do during this stream, but apart from that, I shall also add some graphical elements, just some things to give it some flavor, because I'm gonna release this level to itch.io today or tomorrow at the very latest. And right now it's a little bit plain, so we need to add some stuff there. Let's see I have 2 screens, so which one will Photoshop launch in? The wrong one. Get over there. Okay, is it showing now? Yes, good. Let's see. Oops. Game Maker Studio, entropy. Was it assets? Wish I remembered. I was doing it on my laptop and I did managed to push everything to Git, but I already forgot the file name. Nope, here we go. Assembly line. We're gonna have a very cool animated sprite going on. And to those who ever want to use GameMaker, I'm going to show you exactly how to do it. Please tell me if there's audio problems or anything like that, because I was listening to it earlier and it sounded decent, much less peaky and loud than last time, but can't be so sure. So this is going to be, audio's good. Thank you, Roma. Can always count on you. So this is similar to the assembly lines you saw earlier in the factory level, but I want to have this actually moving. I'm not going to have too many of these because I think too many moving things around will cause a lot of slowdown on slower computers, but maybe a couple, let's say 3 in the whole level, that we're going to have. I'm not going to only have these boxes slide around, but I'm also going to show the story reason of where said boxes come from. As soon as I can find the sprite, you can see all the assets that I have created so far here. A huge amount, even though there's only like 3 levels completed, so that should give you an idea of how much graphics still is to do. Might have to consider outsourcing the creation of these sprites to someone. Not the whole thing, but the partial thing. Let's see, I think I named it pixel art something. I'm using pixel art also very liberally here, but you know, it's a drawing made with pixels. It's pixel art, even if I'm not a professional. Assembly line, and there's container or something like that. Let's see. Quick intermission here while I try to find it. Enemy container. Ooh, that was gonna be awkward. So here we have one of these poor fellas trapped in some sort of translucent tube. If I had been a smarter boy, I would have had them like be in the same sprite, but whatever. It's maybe a bit easier this way. So first of all, let's crop this because it's way too big for our purposes. This is fine. I'd say doing some quote-unquote art for the game is a nice variety from last week's highly intensive coding. And yeah, this. So we need to create the animated sprite for this. So how to accomplish that with just Game Maker Studio 2 and Photoshop? Well, obviously we need to create more frames. That's probably something that most of you can understand. So this is 100 pixels wide. And I didn't mean to sound condescending there, but it took me a while. It took a while for me to understand, like, how does animation work? Like, how do they do it? How do all those pixel artists do it? But yeah, now I know. And it's still hard work, so I'm gonna cut a lot of corners here, and it won't look very smooth, but at least it will be in motion. So this is 100 pixels wide, 30 pixels tall. So we want to have. Can we close this? This is really irritating me. There. I say 6 frames of animation. Should be okay for that. We're gonna have this box sliding around here. That's the only thing that's gonna happen. Probably how to make image move good with your host Zokolov. Yeah, thank you. Yeah, no, this is not even really a tutorial as much as I wanna. It's more of a learning experience for me as well. But yeah, 6 frames of animation, so obviously we need to make another image that's 600 pixels wide. And 30 pixels tall. Boop. Let's see how far we can get. Not very far. I want to be able to see the whole thing, at least in the beginning. Let's copy this. Oops, yeah. Let's copy all the layers, not just the one. Yay. And good thing they also carries all the layers there too, because this is very important. But for this one, let's merge them. There. Because we don't need to move the box here. But for the second one, we actually do need the individual layer for a second. And oh boy, it's layer... which? Ah, this one. Layer 13. So we just move it a little bit just to show that it's in motion. Wonder if 6 frames will be enough, but we'll see. And nothing more complicated than that, really. So forgive me for the repetition as I do the same friggin' thing 4 more times. Merge. But while I'm doing this, I will... Wait, what happened there? Oh, I merged it with the other one too. Well, that's fine, actually. While I'm doing this, I shall say that I will post this whole thing that I have made ready for as of now to itch.io today, so those interested will have a chance to play it. And it will include the factory level where I finally fixed a very annoying bug, because I have the cool buttons that open doors there, and buttons that you have to put a box on to be able to go through, which is another 100,000 million IQ puzzle that I am very proud of creating. But for some reason, if I die and reload a checkpoint, the buttons just didn't appear. So I had a lot of problems with that, and eventually I understood that the problem was that the button object is dependent on the door object. But the door object was created later, so because there was no door for the button itself didn't appear either. So I just used the step event of the object, which is something that is executed every frame, to ensure that the button will always have a corresponding door. Oof. If I want like a smooth motion thing going on, I have to create like 1 billion sprites, so we'll see how it looks like in the end. Might have to create like 8 frames instead of 6. I don't know. Let's see. This little box here is the same sprite, obviously, as the materials that drop whilst you're slaying enemies. Come on, select them all, please. And if you saw the this one earlier, you'll probably be able to deduce where I'm coming from with this. So the factory is not just creating supplies for the working men and women and so on of the space station that we're on, but it also extracts materials for weapons from the helpless monsters that are not as evil, or as chaotic evil anyway, as you might have initially thought of. Maybe they are chaotic evil, but the emphasis is on chaotic. So yeah, they're going around killing people and robots and whatever other things I might have there, but they're not doing it for malicious intent. They're just mindless monsters. And they're mindless monsters for a reason. For a very deep, tasty lore reason. Maybe 9 is good. This will still look a bit jerky in motion, but at least it will have enough frames to justify me calling it animated. So we'll add 3 more here. Oh, you... Okay, let's move this a little bit. Move this over here. Yeah, let's select all of them. Nope. All of them. Yeah, nice. This is the work that goes into creating a game that I am not so fond of, but if you want to make the end result look at least somewhat passable, it's just something that gonna have to do. And that's something that I have had to learn while making this, there are not that many shortcuts I can take with some things. Obviously the graphics in this game are very, very simplistic. Because apart from the fact that I like the way it looks, but I also will save a lot of time with the graphics creation that way. But even simple images should at least be visually appealing. So I don't want to be too lazy when it comes to these little details. Okay, excellent, excellent. Unless we have one more where the box sort of disappears into the void. And then we can get to the fun part of actually getting this into Game Maker and making an animated sprite. So merge layers, then move this aside so it doesn't get lost, and copy this crap over here. And it's the last one, so we don't have to worry about the placement. Wrong one. Layer 21. There it goes. Finish! Nice. Let's make this assembly line 2 to separate from the other one. I save the PSD files even though they take a lot of space, but in case I want to do some changes later, I think it's a good idea in general. And then let's export this into a PNG. And the thing about these is that you actually have to, if you want Game Maker to immediately be able to divide it into frames, you have to give it the file name and extension here. So strip 9, the number corresponding to how many frames you want to have. So you have something strip 8, something strip 12, and so on. And so when you import it to Game Maker, it should usually be able to create frames out of it. Nice. And then we don't even have to put it in the game yet right away to be able to see exactly what it will look like. I guess it will be an entity. Actually, maybe it'll just be an asset, so it'll just be a sprite that moves around, but it doesn't actually influence the game in any way. Like, you can't interact with it. It'll just do its thing until the end of time, or at least until the end of the level. Create sprite with images, and then there it is. So now it should be divided into 9 frames. But is it? Let's see. Yeah, it is. Holy shit, it actually worked. Of course, since there's no empty space around the things here, so it's pretty easy to see where it ends and begins. Hey, look at that. The box is moving across the assembly line or whatever. That's neat. That's really cool. How does it look with a slower frame rate? Ooh, I like that. That's much more smooth than I expected. Let's see how much we can slow down without it looking like shit. Sweet! Yeah, that still looks like... Yeah, I said this is the bare minimum that we can have. If it's any slower, then it will be like... like very... kind of thing. Now we can actually plunk this in the game, and it will actually look like something. Maybe it will even have some kind of... I don't think it will need any kind of sound. even in the finished game, because it might sound more annoying. I'm not going to delete the ones that I already have here, even though they're just motionless. Oh, looks pretty smooth. Good job. Thank you, Roma. I honestly had no idea what it was going to look like, because this is totally unrehearsed. Oh, I forgot to give the sprite a name. Let's make it SPR assembly line. So yeah, these ones are, you cannot really tell that they're assembly lines when you're in the game yourself. You can't really even tell that this is a factory, except for the fact that when you enter the level, it shows the name. But if you use your imagination, it will work. So we have the assets layer in the Game Maker where you can just drag sprites in and they will do their thing. Okay, and also let's make it a solid object so you won't just be able to walk through it. Remove that. The collision box is a bit bigger than the sprite itself, but that shouldn't be too much of a problem. Because you don't need to interact with this thing. Like I said, it's just to make it look kind of like there's some factory kind of where the thing's going on. After all, it's the era of automation. You don't need humans to do any work. Capital is earned by machines, and the humans are just a meaningless thing in the middle. No, I'm not going to start ranting about the evils of capitalism in this stream yet. That'll be when the game is actually finished. Haha. Okay, let's decrease the volume like a lot. So yeah. This level has music now. Amazing. Thank you, Kevin MacLeod. You have saved not only this game, but many YouTube videos from the past. How does it look? Woo! Look at that. Boxes are coming and going. And it's a solid object. And even though the hitbox is pretty big, those guys can still walk on them. That's kind of silly, but whatever. Yeah, and now that they're not standing on like jerks, it actually looks really nice. Like, if you use your imagination, you can believe that the boxes are coming from somewhere. Is this the part where you go on a 30-minute rant about the philosophers? Oh, the lolly lulalo. That'll probably come later. Also, these days it's really hard to go on a rant about secret societies controlling the world without looking like a racist crackpot. Even if they're true. Okay, I think I will plunk a few of these into the level, because I really like the way it looks. So let's put one just like right in the middle of the room. Oh yeah, choose the correct layer, put it here. This will also protect you kind of from the explosive barrel if it decides to go off. And there. Damn philosophers. If it weren't for them, the boss would be still alive. One here. I really thought that creating this whole thing would take a lot more time, but hey, it wasn't too bad. Ooh, this one is gonna be huge. Well, oh well. I remember when conspiracy theories used to be about simple stuff like aliens or how Pringles cans are always too thin. Yeah. Yeah, like aliens and JFK. But you know, I think 9/11 was a tipping point of when conspiracies went from like, oh, this is kind of cool thing to theorize about, to just like, okay, this guy is a crackpot and possibly an anti-Semite as well. So, sad, but I don't know, they're still fun conspiracies to think about. I was gonna say something that I probably shouldn't say, so let's just say we're gonna one of these days when I'm drunk enough, we're gonna find out who really killed JFK. Is all I'm saying. Maybe one here too, just so you know. When you create something that looks cool, you just gotta spam it everywhere. Nice. And while we're at it, let's create another sprite. A decorative sprite. The dreaded drunk stream. When I was doing like a million years ago now, the Control-Alt-Delete animated series stream, I may have been slightly intoxicated by the end of it, but to be fair, you had to be in order to survive that. Wow, but that was my very first live stream. Oh no, it wasn't. I was doing some random Twitch gameplay stuff before that, but the very first live stream with people watching it, actually. It had like 100 people simultaneously at like the highest point. One day we shall overcome that. One day. Actually, I don't even know. I wouldn't mind if I'd never went beyond that, because I don't want to be like a person that has thousands of people in the chat and you can't even follow it, and then you kind of lose the interaction with people there, which is, I think, the whole point of doing live streams. I chuck some Kosu too if I had to trash through Control-Alt-Delete. Yep, I was drinking rum. And no matter how much I was killing my brain cells, I still thought, like, man, somebody greenlit the show and people paid to watch it. Crazy. Well, we got about slightly less than an hour left, so still have time to do the thing that I wanted to do. Okay, I won't be able to complete it, but we will at least get it started. Yeah, I am a rum guy. Well, rum and gin are my favorites. Glad to see you like it too, Roma. Like, it's good stuff. I don't drink very often, but when I do, it's usually not beer, but something like rum or gin. Where was I? Yeah. Import the sprite. I'm not drunk now. I'm just drinking water. Ever tried Kraken? No. It's always been Bacardi for me. Does it taste good though? What kind of thing is that? It sounds nice, pirate themed, so I like that. Okay. Oh yeah, I forgot to actually put the origin point for the this one, but doesn't matter now. But in general, you want to have a logical origin point for the sprite, so when you move it around, it should actually look like something. Also here I was debating, like, should I leave it without the enemy and then put the enemy inside later, so it'll be just like trapped and moving there, which would look cool, but might be a bit too hard to implement. So I'll just have the hapless enemy here, trapped forever. Is it dead? Is it alive? Who knows? And who cares? We're here to kill them anyway. This one is not animated, so it's just like this, but I kind of actually like the way it looks right now. Even though it's just like transparent, like there's nothing here, these white things here, they do kind of give it a glass-like effect. So let's plunk those in as well. Let's give it a name. SPR enemy container, and drag them to the assets layer. To the ass layer you go. Well, they're much bigger actually than I thought. But yeah, as you can tell, the idea is that the boxes are coming from the extracted fluids of the enemies. Black spiced rum. Oh, Captain Morgan. I know that one. I have tried that. That was good stuff. I should try Kraken sometimes. Thanks for the recommendation. guess they have it in Alko. Since the Christmas is coming and everything, might be something nice to add to Gluggy. Maybe. Alright, and we should add this collision layer thing is where if I want to make a solid object that's not solid on its own, I will need to paint over it with these collision boxes, which are visible in the game, but visible in the level editor, so to tell the game, and it has been pre-programmed to let the game know that, okay, enemies and players that go through this should not be able to do so. Is Gluggy with Rum a thing? I'm gonna make it a thing. Actually, I never tried that before, but I have a friend who tried Yalovina with Gluggy, and he said he liked it, so I don't see why this wouldn't work. Or it will taste like shit, but at least we tried. Okay, let's see how it looks. And now I'm gonna have to do this again, because every time I run the game through Game Maker, it opens a new instance, and so the volume values are always reset, which is highly annoying. Once I actually export this into actual executable, it should work. Wow! It's not actually as attached to the thing as I would like, but I think that's fine. You know. Don't worry about it. You know, chat is there for talking, and there's nothing else going on here right now, so I'm okay with talking about that. Like, it's a topic that I actually am somewhat interested in, not just some random stuff, so it all fits. It's all rich tapestry. Damn, this is hypnotic. I actually wanted to originally have the enemies go through the assembly line, like, to be processed, but nice kappa, dude. Oh. Alright. We have completed the first task that we were set out to do. Now on to the next one. Yeah, by the way, this is the first kappa I'm chat, I think. Oh, maybe not. But anyway, appreciate it. I have no idea where that actually comes from. I'm not a heavy Twitch user, so I know what it is, and I've seen it in like chats, but what's the history behind that emote? I have no idea. Nice. Now I have all the kappas. Yay. What's that last one? Kappa wheel. Never seen that last one, actually. That's amazing. I like the HD version as well. Okay. We might have to do some more texture building or tile building here. Not textures because this is in 3D, but now we're going to create a new level because I want to showcase that process as well. This is going to be our spaceport, which is going to be the 6th level, so the one coming immediately after the last one. Factory is this big, so I think something that's annoying with the Game Maker level editor is that if you make it really big at first, because you think like, oh, I'll need all this space to create my level, and then you realize, oh, now there's so much empty space that I don't need. Well, you can't make it any smaller afterwards because it will actually cut off the things that you already put in there, so you really need to know in advance how big you want to make it. There's so much empty stuff here, so I think 2,600 height and 3,000 width. Width. That's a hard word. Should be enough. I don't even know. 2,400. That's better. Now, where do I have the notebook that I used to actually design, quote unquote, this level earlier? So basically I like to draw the level layout, or the basic idea of the level layout that I have in my mind on the paper, so I could later implement it using this tool, but I don't have it here, and this show must go on, so I'll just do it from memory. So this level is going to be the one that introduces the friendly little fellows that we made last time. Since it's been a hot minute already, I can show you again. So, as you, Roma, might remember, and any others who are watching this later and who were in last week's stream, last time we were creating the guard fellow and creating their quote-unquote AI. And actually their intelligence is higher than most of the other enemies that we see. And I actually fixed the bugs later, like off screen. And now it works the way I want it to, almost. So it still does those sounds, and oh my god, that still almost burst my eardrums. Oh, it's here. God damn it. So now he shoots and he throws grenades in a very obvious way, but I want the player to know in advance, like, hey, you can have a grenade coming at you. Wow. He kills you pretty quick, because he shoots 3 bullets instead of just 1 to showcase, like, hey, this is actually an aggressive, thinking individual. Game audio is really quiet on the stream, man, I think. Oh, okay, good. I was worried that it would be too loud. Actually, you know what? I don't need the headphones, so I can have it as loud as I want without it bursting my eardrums, because I can still hear it, because the headphones are right there. So maybe now it's better. And if not, we'll adjust. So he shoots, he throws grenades, and the thing that I wanted it to do last time, run away from grenades, is finally complete. Let's do that again. It's finally complete. Okay, what the fuck, man? Run away, you fool. Oh, he's fighting back. Fire with fire. He can dodge. He did that earlier. There is video evidence of that if you go back, but it works only sometimes, which is really strange. Like, the dodging is really primitive. It only chooses a random direction where to go to, and it will move there for 1 second, and then it will resume. Wow, I missed. But for whatever reason, he's again not doing it. But at least he's not invulnerable to grenades like last week. Let's take a look at the script again, just real quick. So yeah, this is the same. Whatever. It's been proven already that it can dodge. I'll clip that later for all the world to see. But now let's create this level, or let's start creating this level. Obviously, this is a long-winded process that I need to do multiple iterations of to actually complete. So what the level needs? It needs all these different layers to put stuff in. So instances is where all the enemies, pickups, other interactable objects are put into. And the actual graphics go on the tile layer. So what I personally have done, and this is just what I have done, this is not like by any game maker standards, is that I have different layers of tiles. So usually I like to put floors in tiles 1. Then tiles main, I put like the outer walls, which surround the level. Wall tiles is where I will put the walls that are inside the actual rooms. And I also have separate wall tiles layers so I can move through them with the ghost suit upgrade. And then we'll have tiles upper for stuff that you have on top, like for example the this level, once it loads, the outside grass one has some grass on top of grass, because I think that looks much neater like that. And you could stack like dozens of these on top of each other if you want like really nice, very layered graphics, but I don't have that. I have very simplistic graphics here. And then we have several instance layers, like bullets are on their own layer, UI stuff is on their own layer, like the energy, ammo, weapon things you see at the top when you're playing. And the collision is here at the very top. It's only relevant to the that's okay. It's only relevant to the level creation and not the actual gameplay. But it's there, so let's create these. Tiles 1, tiles main, wall tiles. Main and wall tiles. What else do we have? Bullets. Oh, yeah, and this goes on top of them, because obviously we want the enemies to be on the floor and not disappeared in the background. Bullets, where all the enemies and my bullets appear to. Tiles upper, which I don't use as much as I should, because I should create more decorative sprites. And assets one, which is a purely sprite layer, where I want to put things like the, like the things that I just put, the conveyor belts. That's the word I was looking for. Fuck. Keep calling them assembly lines, but I don't know. Same thing, I guess. And these things. And the UI instance layer. And the collision layer. I probably should have even more, but this is all I need for now. Now, we have several tile sets predefined here, like some that most of these I drew myself, but then there's also like some that I have downloaded, like the Filthy Thief I Am. No, just kidding, they are free to use. No compensation required by very talented and very generous pixel artists out there, who I will hope to credit in the actual finished game. But this is something I created all by myself. Like all of this stuff here is drawn by me. So let's start by... And I want all the levels to have a different color scheme. So let's actually create new walls and floors real quick. So do I have tile set 1 here? Yes. So this I have drawn, oops, that's huge. Drawn all by myself, but I have become lazier and lazier as time goes on, so I'm making these huge floor tiles now, so I don't have to do them individually. It can get quite tedious. The heck, you say? No. We'll make one of these, but we'll change the color. I think this one will have a dark blue, sinister kind of color. So we'll give it outline. This is gonna be painful. You know when you were a kid and you had to do coloring books? I always had trouble staying inside the lines. Anybody else had the same kind of feeling? I guess that's why I never became a artiste. For the next stream, I should really reserve some chill background music. It would just be a pain in the ass to always like remember to mute it when I start playing, and then unmute it again when I'm programming or doing art stuff. But at least you have my dulcet tones to work with. And I'm sure people are using their own, at least I do, like to listen to my own stuff in the background while I listen or watch things or code things or whatever. A bit darker. That's good. This shall be our floor. For the most part, I'm gonna have different colored floors in different areas of level, of course, but in the beginning we'll have that. Then we'll have the wall. Generally, I just like to have 3 types of walls. So we have the ones from to the top from the player's perspective, then the bottom ones, and the ones on the side. This one, let's make it blue also, but a different shade of blue, since we have the whole color spectrum in use here. This is more like cyan, but it'll do. We can just copy the design of these wall tiles, but recolor them. Yes, the graphics of my game are just one giant asset flip. Of course not. That would be horrendously unprofessional of me. You can have these things be black, but this can be this kind of, what is this color anyway? Dark cyan turquoise kind of thing. Something like that. And let's use an even different shade for this. So this one can be this shade. Ugh, too colorful. Don't like it. This is supposed to be a dark level. This is supposed to be like the spoiler alert, this is gonna be kind of like the level in Half-Life where you find out that the Marines are not there to help you, but something far worse. Still too colorful, man. I want it dark. Yeah, this one is fine. There are other ways I can do, like other things I can do to make the game darker, which I will show you later. Just a sec. Oh yeah, I could use paint bucket tool, but whatever. There. Those shall be the inner walls. Anyway, let's use the gray ones for now because we don't want to waste so much time on this. And now we will decide where the player should start on this black void. Oh, where's the grid? Wow, it's huge. You have to get really close in there to see the grid, huh? But it's the same as... That's weird. I guess I'm just very zoomed in here on this one. Oh yeah. So I need to remember to export this work that I've just done, which is to create 2 blocks, basically. Highly demanding work, highly artistic. And then remember to replace this one with this one. Nice, there they are. That's dark enough, I guess. Or it might also look horrendously ugly, but we won't know. We won't know until we actually put our player there. Because the color that you see here is not going to be the actual color you see in the game, because we put a filter on top of everything to make it less bright and Nintendo-esque. I'm not using Nintendo as a pejorative here. I'm a very big Nintendo fan, but despite their unscrupulous business methods, I'm a fan of their games, I should say, not necessarily the company itself. So, yeah, let's make a little alcove where the player starts. Yeah, something is definitely off with these tiles because I feel like something has shifted here. Because they're totally in the wrong places. But what to do? Wait. Yeah, this is supposed to be the bottom one. This is the side one. So, doot. And doot. And here's the floor. And let's make it open somewhere so we can actually walk around. I mean, we can walk around. It'll just be a black void. This is wide enough. I feel like the levels look so small here, but when I'm actually in the game, they're much more huge than what I had intended. Actually, I think that's something that I can't remember which game designer had, like, professional game designer that is, was saying the same thing. I think that might have been Shigeru Miyamoto with Zelda, actually, like the first Zelda. He had drawn the levels on paper or something, and then when he actually played the game, he was so surprised at how huge the world actually became. I might be misremembering. Okay, yeah, something like that. And we always have to put some basic stuff in here, so these are all the stuff that the UI components that we need to have in there, otherwise it won't work. So let's drag these in the UI layer. The different objects that we have created. So the crosshair, so we can use our mouse as a crosshair. The camera to follow the player's movements. Yep, okay. UI stuff. So bullets, energy, message. This is the thing that pops up if you like pick something up or whatever. It tells you what you picked up and so on. And then light. But actually, we will use a different light. We will create a duplicate of this object, call it light 2 because we're so original. Because this is one of the most complicated things that I had to do for this game, because initially there was no lighting effects. It was all bright and colorful, but as soon as I saw it through my own eyes, I was like, this doesn't look at all like what I wanted it to look. Because it's way too cheerful I wanted to have for my dark sci-fi game. So I like searched different tutorials on how to implement light with Game Maker, and it's really complicated. But I eventually found the thing that looked almost like I wanted, but not quite. And actually I'll demonstrate it with the earlier level. Because right now it just covers everything with a filter and then creates an aura around the player, but it actually has a different kind of effect also. And that's actually the whole reason why I created a separate wall tiles layer, is that I initially used like kind of almost like ray casting thing to have light bounce off walls, but so you couldn't actually see what was behind the wall, so it would be covered in darkness. Well, partial darkness. But some people were saying that it looks ugly, so I accommodated it. But let's actually see how it looks in the game, and I'll have you be the judge on if it looks better or worse than without it. So factory, I suppose, or we can do hospital if that looks better, but let's try factory first. Ah. Did it not? Doesn't look like it should. Hold on a second. Did I edit the light 2 instead of... No, this is the one. So they should cast shadows that bounce off the walls. Fuck. Let's do our hospital. Ah, this kind of effect. But there are many flaws with it, like it doesn't trigger until you come close, and it looks a little bit ugly, and it doesn't even fully obscure everything. But at the same time, it's kind of cool also. Like it actually looks like the player is generating light now, and it casting shadows from the walls. It does make it run a bit slower on some laptop computers, I've noticed, but in general, it shouldn't be too much of a problem, and it can be worked around. You can try to optimize it, but I don't know. What do you guys think? How does this look? I'll leave this up to you. I'm gonna leave it on for now. We'll see how it looks with the other levels too. But one thing we can do is like use the shaders of Game Maker to have a bit of a different, like this is the part that actually casts a shadow, and the value that determines how dark it is here. So right now the alpha is 0.7. Roma says that looks pretty good in my opinion. Thank you. I think it looks okay too. Initially I think it would look ugly because it was like pure black, and that was like a bit too much, but with this this kind of shadow is actually not bad. So for normal levels we can use 0.7, but if we, yeah, it does add atmosphere actually. I agree. That's why I originally put it. But we don't want things to be too dark. Like we want the player to still be able to see a bit further than they would be able to do in real life, because it just makes navigation a pain in the ass if you can't see much. But for some levels we want to be a bit more darker, so we should use some kind of shadow 2 thing where we can make the alpha a bit higher to create even more darkness around. Darkness swallowing me until I see absolute horror. Objects, yeah. So we'll use light 2 for our factory level. So remember to uncomment this. I think we're calling some script also. Project shadow, yeah. So shadow 2 needs to be the one that I'm using here. Did I not create it? Why isn't it not finding it? Oh, S should actually be SH to keep it consistent. Shader, that is. Let's see how we're referring to it here. Yep, we are. There. Now this should work. Let's look at project shadow for a second, if there's any values that we need to change, because this is using some slightly I don't even understand a lot of it. Like, well, this is obvious. Like, this is like how far the shadow is cast. 20,000 is just there to make it bigger than any level that we will ever have in the game. And then we have a lot of maths and calculations to determine like how it works, how it bounces off walls, and what kind of shapes it creates, and so on. But you don't need to worry about this now. But yeah, there's nothing here that we would need to change. Like, the logic is still the same. We just want to make it darker, because we killed the flame. UI, assets, objects, light 2. I do like the fact that I can just drag everything over. And then we need to actually have the player get in there. Whew. And we need to actually put some walls there too, because otherwise, how can we see like how the shadow looks like? Use the same tiles, and let's just put some walls in there. What tile should I use? This one. I don't know. No, doesn't look good. Let's use this one, because at least that looks more like a wall. Because some of the tiles, I noticed people have been confused, like, oh, they thought it was a floor, but it's actually a wall that you can walk through. let's have a really narrow passage that we can walk through, actually. I'm going to explain what I'm trying to do with this level shortly, but first I just want to see if it actually looks okay. And yes, we need to surround the whole... Fuck. No! That's alright. Thank you for joining me today, Roma. It's always appreciated. And your feedback was very valuable. Thank you. So we shall surround our level with this so we don't actually phase through it. And we need to do one more thing, which is to create a viewport. Hope everything is okay, dude. You take care also. So enable viewports, viewport 0 needs to be visible. Not maybe so huge. 320 to 180. I'm thinking of maybe making the camera a bit bigger for the future, because right now you can't really see much. And yeah, change this a little bit. So if this is 3000 and 2000, a little bit more, 2500, a little bit more, 2700, and now it's going over. Well, that's good enough. And then almost there. This doesn't matter so much because the camera will immediately like snap to the correct position as soon as the game starts, but to prevent the kind of effect of the camera immediately panning really fast to the player, I want it to start where the player roughly is, at least as the level loads. Yeah, that looks good enough. Now let's make the spaceport our opening level so we can see how it looks. Whoa, it is dark indeed. Oh, I like it. I like it a lot. This is exactly what I wanted. It is exactly how I envisioned it in the deep, dark depths of my mind. Dark, sinister. Cannot see shit through these walls. Perfect. Just perfect. If I made the ring of light around the player a bit bigger, then I could probably limit like the area that the player can see through. Like, this is okay already in this case, because I put it like the wall to be so big, but in some cases it's kind of lame that you can first see what's happening and then you come close and then all of a sudden you can't see anymore. I mean, it makes sense in some way, but yeah, this is exactly as dark as I wanted it to be. It's perfect, because this darkness can hide many monstrosities. First things I usually like to add in the level is, because usually at the end of the last level the player is really injured and running low on ammo, so we should cut them some slack and give them some stuff as soon as they arrive. So let's give them some energy shit. I really have to zoom in close to be able to see anything. Let's turn off the snap, because I don't want everything to be so symmetrical. It looks kind of ugly. Or not ugly, but unappealing to me. It looks more real if they're kind of scattered around. Yeah, that should work. Reload. Oh, nice. Oh, I like the very satisfying clunk when you pick up the items. All right. Yeah, and so the thing I want to have for this level is that it's gonna be sort of a turning point in the story. So here you find out that basically what will happen is that you'll be advised by an unseen voice to like, hey, go here and let the soldiers in. Like your job is to open the door so the soldiers can come in and end this whole mess. But dun dun dun, the soldiers are actually going to here to kill you and everybody else who has witnessed anything. Oh, scary. It's taken from Half-Life, obviously, but it's a plot twist that might actually work here if I foreshadow things correctly. All right. So let's. So first of all, when you arrive, you'll just be encountering like security drones and things like that. But eventually you will encounter the guards, but I don't know if we can do as much today. See, how far do we want to go? Damn, we can't adjust the height anymore because for some reason the height cuts from the bottom instead of the top. Very illogical, but that's just how Game Maker has been designed. Also, we have way too much empty space here, so I might have to make this level much bigger than what I intended it to be. Maybe add some puzzles here eventually, who knows. But yeah, you'll have encounters with the security drones, let's say up until this point. Oops. Here. Put down some walls. And the collision part can come in later. I'm the one playing it, not some random tester, so they're not just gonna walk through the boundaries or anything. So what will happen is that first you're gonna only encounter security drones, like no other enemies. And that's gonna be like a thing to make you like uneasy, like where are all the other enemies? And actually what I also want to do is to add a couple of corpses of enemies that maybe you would have faced at some point. Here they are. Oh, I don't have a specific corpses folder here. That's a shame. But yeah, maybe a couple of dead fungi here. And yeah, you will encounter a few security drones, which is challenging enough because these guys will fuck you up so quickly. Trust me. Watch the earlier highlight if you don't believe me. And then eventually we'll come to a door, which you gotta open. And when you open that door, all hell breaks loose when the guards come in, and now you have to fight a whole different type of enemy that has a very different AI. And you're wondering like, oh, what am I doing? Hello, Real Potato Wizard. I'm using Game Maker Studio 2. Welcome to the game development stream. I'm guessing since you're asking, you never used this before. This is specifically meant for 2D pixel art games like this. I mean, it can be used for any kind of 2D games in general. Like the art doesn't matter, but the 2D is the main thing there. And it has a really like intuitive level editor, like very easy to understand programming language, GML, and just it simplifies a lot of things in game development, which are really tricky to deal with normally. I know, yeah, baby's first game engine, but I like it. Especially like I don't know. I've used Unity before, but I'm a I'm a real bad with the whole 3D stuff, so it was a huge learning curve compared to this, which is relatively easy to understand. The only problem, I guess, is that the language itself is updated constantly, so there's a lot of stuff that other programming languages have by default that this didn't have until much later on. Like just recently, they added a basic function for adding stuff in arrays, which I would have assumed would have been in existence for a long time already. Okay, so we'll make a little alcove here where you can find some more stuff while you hysterically run away from these security drones who can fuck your shit up in one shot. There. Yeah, something like that. Try to avoid making the level design too linear, but with this level I'm specifically aiming for a corridor shooter type feel. The other levels are much more open-ended, like especially the biodome one, but this one I really want to make the player feel claustrophobia and fear and terror as they wade through these dark corridors, which is kind of hard to accomplish with my very simplistic graphics, but I'm hoping to find some really good music or commission some really good music from someone to really sell the horror of it all. Yeah, so we'll put some supplies in here. What do we got here? Health and armor in the correct layer instances. So health here and armor here. Some fuel for your flamethrower, and even a plasma rifle, why not? But it comes at a terrible cost. It looks huge here, but it will look a little bit smaller in the actual game. It's just that when I originally made this, like the weapons for the first sprites I drew, and of course the size was a little bit mismatched with everything else. And now we will plunk the enemy here. Oop, not corpses, enemies. Another security drone, and top it all off, the creme de la creme, another corpse, which is supposed to show you that you're gonna have a bad time. One of these. So let's see how it looks like so far. Yeah, I think it was a really good idea to put the add to the darkness variable, so now it looks a lot cooler than the other levels, or cooler as in darker. Oh, there it is already. So the security drones, their bullets actually pierce through you, so they will do damage every frame that they touch your hitbox. Yeah, well, there you go. And I also forgot to put a checkpoint there, so it didn't load properly. So let's do that. My save load system definitely needs some work, so let's just have it save immediately as you spawn in. That's how I usually handle like the starting of the level thing, so it will automatically save, so you won't accidentally load in the data from the wrong room. Okay, let's see if we can actually make it through. Come on. Fuck. Kind of reminds me of Doom in a way. Thank you. That's exactly how I intended it. Like, a lot of things have been ripped off directly from Doom. Like, in terms of idea, not the assets. Like, the sounds and stuff are all either created by me or found from online, but I wanted to have the player have the Doom-like feeling of like walking through the dark corridors and being ambushed by monsters. And monsters who, for some reason, didn't spawn in. That's funny. Let's try again. But yeah, thanks. That's a huge compliment, because Like games like Doom, fuck's sake. Oh, now it was there. Games like Doom, Dead Space, Half-Life. Those have been kind of my inspirations for creating this 2D shooter. It's my first game project, so it's bound to be a little bit cliche in terms of like gameplay mechanics and things like that. But I am trying to make it stand out a little bit from others through environmental storytelling. Like I don't want to have any kind of text or things like that. I want to convey the whole story through graphics and game events. And I want to also have some kind of unique things that other games, like old games or new games, don't really have. Like, for example, rescuing monsters that have been put captive so they can join you and help defeat the other monsters. And that looks pretty good so far. If I had some sinister Doom-like music playing in the background here, it would be perfect. 1 hour 53 minutes. We have 7 minutes left to finish, at least. Well, not finish. That's going to be impossible. But actually, if Will Potato Wizard and anybody else watching, if you're interested, I will drop a link in the chat to where you can download kind of like an alpha version of this game if you want to see it. New to programming and in game dev, so I'm looking for inspiration to learn. Yeah, same here, buddy. Like, this is the first ever project that I'm making, and I'm already thinking like I've bitten off more than I can chew. But actually, I want to ask you, what kind of game are you hoping to create as your first title? Like, because I really want to know how people are approaching their first projects and how they're learning game development. Personally, unfortunately, this stream we won't be doing much programming, so it's gonna be this has been mostly level design and art. But oh shit! So that's probably why I should put in the barriers of the level. 2D platformer. That's cool. That's the first ever game I created was a 2D platformer, and I used Lua and the Love engine, which is something that you probably might want to check out. Actually, if you are a fan of Doom, then one of the creators, John Romero, actually suggests Corona SDK. I know, unfortunately named SDK for Lua, that is apparently really good for starting out to program for 2D games, because you know it runs on PC, Mac, Linux. Like you can do with Android, you can do Android and iPhone games with that. Fantasy 2D platform. That sounds cool. I hope you can do some progress with it. That was also one of the concepts that I was thinking of, but I eventually landed to the 2D shooter because that's, you know, it's one of my favorite genres. Like I was thinking Hotline Miami at first, but then it kind of evolved into a different direction. This is definitely much more arcade-ish than that. And there's no like hit scan stuff, it's all projectile and melee. So yeah, unfortunately I won't have time to finish this level, but I want to have like a kind of like a maze-like structure of you going first up and then down into empty corridors before finally reaching the door where there are soldiers waiting in the back, and you open the door, just like let them in. You're thinking like, okay, finally I'm gonna have some help defeating the monsters, because the earlier level introduced the concept of allies. But no, it turns out the guards are betraying you, and they will ambush you, and you have to take advantage of the level geometry to hide from the enemies and try to make to the exit. Most likely, if you fight them head on, you will lose, which is something that also is a challenge to implement, because creating a challenging AI is really hard. But that's the intent here, and it has been almost 2 hours. So I think, unfortunately, I'm gonna have to end the stream here. But Real Potato Wizard, if you're interested, I'm streaming this every Sunday, at the very least, maybe even more often. Doing more game development, doing programming, graphics, level design, all that. So thank you for joining me today. I'll see you next Sunday, and if you are interested, have time, feel free to download the game from the link I posted in the chat. Every bit of support and feedback helps me to make this into a better game. And Real Potato Wizard, I wish you good luck with your game project. Peace out.